I'm going to give you a dimensionally correct equation. Okay, we will consider that if this equation is dimensionally correct, then what are the dimensions for the particular quantity? So here's the question. Find dimensional formula for K and A if the equation given here is correct. Okay, so I am going to give you an equation and you have to find the dimensional formula for K and for A if the equation given here is a correct equation. So y is equal to, the equation is as follows, right? This is the equation given to you. Okay, and based on this we have to find what are the dimensional formula for K, what is the dimensional formula for A. Now what are the terms? So y is a displacement, x stands for distance or x coordinate, okay, t stands for time, right, omega, this symbol is called omega, right? What is this symbol called? Omega, right? So omega stands for angular frequency. Well, frankly speaking, to solve this question you don't have to worry about this, right? Don't worry about these two. I'm just writing it here for completion. These two don't affect the solution. All right? Okay. So let's begin. So it's given to us that here's the equation and these are its terms, and we know that this equation is actually correct. Now if the equation is correct, then definitely it should follow all the rules of dimensions. Is that okay? Is it clear what I'm saying? If this equation is correct, then it should follow all the rules of dimensions. Clear or not? It should follow all the rules of dimensions. Alright. Now, let's start. So first of all, you see there is sine and then there is this. So do you realize here the angle is kx minus omega t? Yes or no? Is this clear? Kx minus omega t is the angle. Yes or no? If yes, you can raise your hand. If no, you can type it in the chat box. Okay. Alright. So kx minus omega t is the angle. Now, what do we have for angle? What are dimensions of angle? Do you remember what are dimensions of angle? Angles are dimensionless. Yes, no dimensions, all dimensionless. Okay, so that would mean that this whole subtraction should have no dimensions. So by using the rule number 3, do you realize that we get this? Because this is an angle, right? And angles have no dimension. Is this step clear to you? Using the rule number 3, because if you subtract two quantities, then their dimensions have to be same, and it should be same as the result. Okay, the result is an angle. So from this, if you use this and this, you can find out dimensions of k. So what are dimensions of k? It will be 1 upon dimensions of x. Understood? Or you can say m raised to 0, l raised to 0, t raised to 0 upon dimensions of x. Clear? Alright? So find it, come on, hurry up. Use the information given in the question. Use the information given in the question. What will be dimensions of K? What will be dimensions of K? What will be dimensions of K? Everybody, what will be dimensions of K? Okay, lower your hand, everyone. Lower your hands. Lower your hands. Okay. Final answer will be as follows. Have a look. This is dimensionless numerator, denominator x. X is a distance. Distance means length. So n raised to 1. I hope that is clear. Okay, so final answer will be m raised to 0, l raised to minus 1, t raised to 0, or simply l raised to minus 1. Did you understand? Did you understand, everyone? Final answer is dimensions of K are l raised to minus 1. Yes or no? Okay? Any questions? Any doubts here? Any doubts? Anyone having doubts? What doubt? Shantanu. I hope, Shantanu, now you have learned how to divide things. When you divide something like a raised to x upon a raised to y, this is a raised to x minus y. Now I am not going to repeat this. I am making it clear. When you divide a raised to x upon a raised to y, you get a raised to x minus y. So that same thing here. 0 minus 1 minus 1. Clear? 0 minus 1 is minus 1. That's how you get l raised to minus 1. Okay. Now let's go to a. Let's go to a. I am going to erase this solution part. We are going over to a. Okay, here we want to find dimensions of A or dimension formula for A. Now compare both sides. You see, dimensions of A on the left side, y, excuse me, dimensions of y on the left side should be equal to dimensions of A multiplied by dimensions of sine into sine of kx minus omega t. Okay, I hope that step is clear to all of you. Right? Now, do you remember rule number 1? Sine theta. This is just like sine theta. Sine theta is having what dimensions? Sine theta is having what dimensions? What are dimensions of sine theta? Come on, everyone. Yes, dimensionless or no dimensions. Right? So this thing has no dimensions. That's why dimensions of y will be same as dimensions of a. This is just going to be m raised to 0, m raised to 0, t raised to 0. So no need to write it, it's fine. So dimensions of a are same as y. Y is a displacement. Dimensions of displacements are length. Okay, l raised to 1. Clear? Dimension of displacement is l raised to 1. Okay, so that's how we get the answer here. Alright? That's how we get the answer. Okay, now let's solve one more question like this. Let's solve one more question like this. So suppose I give you an equation P is equal to P0 into e raised to, let me write it a bit larger so you all can see. P equal to P0 e raised to minus k e raised to minus alpha t by m. Okay, let's say we write the equation in this form. Okay, what are the terms? E is pressure. Okay, E is temperature, M is mass. Alright, okay, so these quantities are given to us. Based on this, if this equation is correct, find the dimensional formula for E0 and for alpha. Okay, if this equation is dimensionally correct, we will find out the formula for dimensional formula for E0 and for alpha. Okay. Yeah, so let's start. So if you look at this, if you look at the equation given to us, right, this is a power, isn't it? Do you remember the rule about power? It is a part of which rule? 1, 2 or 3? The rule about power, it's a part of which rule? The rule about power for dimensions is in which rule? Number 1. Okay, it is in rule number 1. Yes, the rule is that power has no dimensions. Right? The rule is that power has no dimensions. Right? That would mean alpha t by m. Alpha t by m together is dimensionless. Did you understand this? Did you understand this line? Alpha t by m is dimensionless. Yes? No? Yes or no? Minus sign obviously does not have dimensions. Of course, minus sign does not have dimensions. Only 15 of you have understood. Read the rule carefully. Rule says power doesn't have dimensions. Isn't it? So that's the power. This is e raised to minus alpha t by m. Okay? So this is the power, it does not have dimensions. Based on this, we will find dimensional formula for alpha. So I'll do one step and then in the next step I will expect the answer from you. So this is what we get. We can split it out in multiplication. So therefore dimensions of alpha is equal to m raised to 0, n raised to 0, t raised to 0. It's okay if you don't write this again and again. We understood it's not there. Dimensions of mass upon dimensions of temperature. Find it yourselves, come on. Find it yourselves. What will be the answer to this question? You can't write it as m upon k. Please write it in form of powers. You cannot write it as m upon k. T no aave, Madhav, Rudra. T is for time. Don't forget that. Arav, it's wrong. Now it's okay. Okay, some of you have made mistake. You cannot write it in form of ratios, and it's not T. Temperature's dimensional symbol. Dimensional symbol for temperature, T is temperature, is not capital T. Don't forget. Take that list out. Dimensional symbol for temperature is not T. Alright? It is K, Kelvin for, okay, that's why it's K. So this is going to be m raised to 1, k raised to minus 1. Is that clear? Because k is in the denominator. M raised to 1 upon k raised to 1 means m raised to 1, k raised to minus 1. Understood? Understood or not? Okay, because k is in the denominator. Well then. So like this you can find dimensions for other unknown quantities, right? So for example, you don't know what is alpha. I have not even told you, but still you could find out dimensions for alpha. Right? That's one of the uses of dimensional analysis. That is one of the uses of dimensional analysis. When you do everything, then from that you can understand a little bit about alpha. So alpha will be some quantity that depends somehow on mass and depends somehow on temperature. Right? I repeat, alpha will be some quantity that depends somehow on mass and on temperature. Right? Okay. Now, what about P0? Let's find it for P0. Let's find it for P0. Now, once again, using rule number 1, we can say that this whole thing is dimensionless. Because this E is actually a number. I repeat, this E is a number. A number raised to number will be dimensionless. Right? I think you might not have come across E so far, but E is a value which is approximately 2.71. It comes up often in physics formulas. I repeat, this E here means a number 2.71 which comes often in physics formulas, right? Okay? So E is just a number just like pi, you take it as 3.14, a kind of that. Okay? So this will be dimensionless. So now, if I compare the dimensions on the left side and the right side, then I will get it as follows. Why? Because like I said, this is dimensionless. Is this understood? Is this understood or not? Power has no dimensions, so that's why we find it using that idea. The whole power has no dimensions. You are misunderstanding so many things here. This whole thing has no dimensions. I didn't say alpha has no dimensions. What is meaning of power? Minus alpha t by m is the power. Alright, alpha is not the power. Alpha t by m is the power. So finally, dimensions of P0 are going to be same as pressure. Yes or no? Dimensions of P0 are going to be same as pressure. Clear? Clear or not clear? Dimensions of P0 are same as pressure. Yes, no? Raise your hand if it's clear. So, what will be the final answer? Yeah. Okay. Correct. M raised to 1, L raised to minus 1, and T raised to minus 2. That's your final answer. Alright? Well, now so like this, you are going to get some questions today in homework which will be similar to this idea. Alright? Put your hands down, everybody. Lower your hands. Okay, so like this you are going to get homework today. Make sure you finish it on time. Alright. Now let's move on to the next thing. Let's have a look at some of the textbook questions related to dimensions. Alright? Okay, I've already explained the concept, so you are just going to get it mostly as homework. Yeah. Now, first of all, we're going to look at the example number 15. Example 15. It's 2.15. Okay, example 2.15. I'll only read the question and I'll explain what you have to do. It is for you to finish. Okay, I've already taught you how to do it. Okay, it is one equation is given. half mv square is equal to mgh. Okay, equation is given. Read the last line. Check whether this equation is dimensionally correct or not correct. Okay, check whether this equation is dimensionally correct or dimensionally incorrect. Okay, hopefully you remember how to check. It should follow all the rules. Okay, if it follows all the rules, yes, fine, it will be dimensionally correct. If it doesn't follow any one of the rules, then it is dimensionally incorrect. Okay, we have discussed this kind of things yesterday. So that's homework. This question is homework. Now 16. Alright, question 16. Example again. So it is saying that SI unit of energy is this, speed is meter per second, acceleration is meter per second square. Which of the following formula for kinetic energy given below can you rule out? Rule out means you can say is wrong or incorrect. Which of the following formulas can you say is incorrect? Okay, out of A, B, C, D and E. Alright, on basis of dimensional arguments means you have to check all these using dimensions. Okay, you have to check all those formulas using the rules of dimensions A, B, C, D and E. And you have to decide. You have to decide which is definitely incorrect. Okay, you just have to decide which is incorrect. Alright, so I will do one for you. Okay, the rest you have to figure it out yourselves. So let's say we do the first one. The first one is K is equal to m square v square. V cube. First one is K is equal to m square v cube. Right, so we have to check for rules of dimensions. Okay, first of all, power. Okay, no problem. 2, 3, they are dimensionless, shouldn't be a problem. Then there is no addition subtraction, right? So rule number 3 not required. I repeat, there is no addition subtraction anywhere. So rule number 3 is not required. Fine, clear so far? Rule number 3 is not required because there is no addition subtraction. Alright? Now we will talk about LHS and RHS, right? Whenever two things are equal, their dimensions also must be equal. So let's look at LHS. LHS, kinetic energy, its dimensions. What are dimensions of kinetic energy? That's same as energy. M raised to 1, L raised to 2, T raised to minus 2. I hope that is clear to all of you. Dimensions of energy. Alright, now the next one. Okay, right hand side of this equation. Right hand side of this equation. M square V cube. M square V cube. Okay, M for mass. Dimensions for mass M raised to 1. So this is M square. Alright, for mass square. Now speed Q. Speed dimensions. What are speed dimensions? L raised to 1, T raised to minus 1, whole cube. Alright? Okay, so can you tell me what will be the final dimensions on the right side? Over here, can you tell me what will be the final dimensions? Can you tell me what will be the final dimensions on the right side? Maths, people, everyone, maths, be careful with it. Do not make maths mistakes. Follow the rules of power properly. Very good. Many of you have given right answer. M raised to 2, L raised to 3. Why 3? 1 into 3 will be 3. And T raised to minus 1 into 3 is minus 3. So this is on the right side. Does it match? Have a look. Does left side and right side dimensions match? Yes or no? If yes, raise hand. If no, write it in the chat box. Do these match? Yes or no? Are they same or are they different? Obviously different, isn't it? Okay, so if they are different, then definitely that means this equation is incorrect. Understood? A is incorrect. Clear or not clear? Dimensionally incorrect. Understood? This is dimensionally incorrect. Got it? Who understood that? Dimensionally incorrect. How many of you understood that is dimensionally incorrect? Raise your hand, please. Okay. So I believe others have not understood. Everyone, if you have not understood, you are most welcome to ask a doubt. Smith, yes. Powers of m and v are dimensionless. Yes. 2 and 3. Power of m is 2. Power of v is 3. Isn't 2 a number? Simple number will always be dimensionless. Alright. By the way, the powers must be dimensionless. Otherwise, it's a problem. I didn't ask you anything about second. Okay, I have not even read the question. Alright, fine. The rest are for you to complete. B, C, D and E are homework. I repeat. B, C, D, E. They are for you to complete on your own as homework. Alright, method remains the same. We have been discussing it yesterday. We have been discussing it today. Alright. Okay, now the next thing. Okay, I hope you have noted whatever you wanted to. Similar question is exercise question 14 from the exercise. For exercise, often I write EX in short. Alright? Question 14 from the exercise. That's also homework. Same idea, same kind of thing to be done. Okay, but be careful, it is with angles and all that, sine and everything. Again, to make everyone recollect. Whenever you see something after a sign in a bracket, okay, or whenever you see something like, for example, in that question you have things like sine nu t and all that. Okay, so this is the angle. Did you understand? That's the hint for this question. Whatever you see after sine, that part is the angle. Clear or not clear? Hint is clear to you? Okay, so use that hint to solve the question. And everybody will do homework honestly. You will not see it from anywhere. Okay, you will not even ask anyone. You try to do it on your own. That way you will learn. Okay. Now the next thing. The last topic or last point about dimensions. The last point about dimensions now. Sometimes, we can use the dimensions. Sometimes we can use the dimensions to find out unknown quantities or the relations amongst quantities, right? Okay, so we are going to understand that idea. We are going to understand that idea based on What was I saying? Sorry. Yeah, we are going to understand that idea based on an example. I'm so sorry. Right? So we'll solve an example. Based on that, I'll tell you how we can get relations between different quantities. Okay, someone has asked me a question over there, so let me go. Let me answer that question. Alright, Smith, how to judge time and temperature symbol? Generally, Smith, time is small t. Alright, okay, and temperature is capital T. But often in questions, right now you will be given values or meanings. Read question 14 completely. Below the question, a list is given. Do you see the list, everybody? In question 14 of exercise, do you see the list of quantities given? A is maximum displacement, V is speed, T is time period, like that. Did you see the list? Okay, such list will generally be given. It will help you understand. Alright? Fine. Smith, I hope I have cleared your query. Now, there is another query. Is this the only one, or I will send assignment? Yes, so all this is in class homework. Alright? This you definitely have to do, and an assignment will also be sent. Alright? So there is more to come. All this you have to do, and of course along with it, I will be sending an assignment. Alright? So you will have more homework. Alright. Now let's go to the thing I was talking about. Okay, relating quantities using dimensions, okay, and without experiment. See, this is the good thing about dimensions. In some situations, they help us so much that we don't even have to do an experiment. Without doing an experiment, we can make some relation between quantities. Alright, that's what we are going to see here by this example. I repeat what I have said. In some situations, just by doing some calculations about dimensions, we can get a relation between different quantities, and we don't even have to do an experiment for that. Okay, so definitely saves a lot of effort. Let's start. So here the question that we are going to solve is the question number 17, example 17 from the book. Alright, example 17 from the book. Now I already know this question because it's a very famous question, right? You can read the question if you want, no problem. The question is about a pendulum. Right? This is what a pendulum looks like. I'm sure you all remember that. So when you tilt it and leave it from this position, do you realize it will start oscillating back and forth, back and forth? Yes or no? Okay? So there is something called a time period. There is something called a time period. Time period means the time in which it will go there and return to this point. I repeat, suppose it starts here, then the time in which it will go there and come back to the same point, that is called time period. Is that clear? Okay, I am sure you would have studied such things in 9th standard. Again, the meaning is not important. Let me make it clear. I just tried to explain the meaning. What if you didn't understand the meaning? No problem, don't worry. Right now, meaning is of no use. Okay? To solve the question or to understand this theory about how to relate quantities, the meaning is of no use. It was just something that I told you naturally. Alright? Okay, so forget if you don't know the meaning, no problem. But we can relate the time in which it will come back, that is time period, with some quantities. For example, length of string. What do I mean? You might expect, listen to this, you might expect that if the length of this string is more, if the length of the string is more, then it might take more time to go there and come back, isn't it? You understand what I am saying? If the length of the string is more, then it might take more time. Suppose it was very long like this, then it will take more time to go there and come back. Possible. right? So like this, time period could depend on length of the string, right? Another factor that time period could depend on, is gravity. Basically, gravitational acceleration g. What do I mean? See, think about it. If you leave it in this point, it's gravity which is actually bringing it down. I think about a pendulum like this. What brings it back down? Obviously, gravity pulls it down. Correct or not? I'm sure everyone realizes that. Gravity will pull it down. Clear or not clear? Clear or not clear? Then gravity pulls it down. So, definitely gravitational acceleration g, I'm sure you have heard about g, does play some role. Okay? So, we are expecting that time period has some connection with this, time period has some connection with this. And the third thing that you might expect is mass of this bob. This is called bob, by the way, right? Mr. Bob. Okay? Alright? So, if this bob is heavy, that is, it has a lot of mass, it's very heavy, then it will move slowly. We might expect that. Yes or no? Do you understand what I am saying? We might expect that if this is very heavy, it might move slowly, it will take more time. Then a third factor that it might depend on is mass of bob, that is m. Length of spring L, gravitational acceleration g, and mass of bob. Okay, you can lower your hands, everyone. Alright. Now, so we will find out a relation between the time period. Remember, time period, although the symbol is capital T, okay, small t is generally used for time and capital T is used for time period. But still, time period is just one kind of time. Right, time in which it will come back, that's called time period. So if we do an analysis of dimensions here, we will be able to find out a relation, that is how exactly does this depend on L, this depend on G, and this depend on mass. Let's start. So first of all, I will say that the time period should be somehow proportional. Time period should be somehow proportional or depending on length L, G, that is gravitational acceleration, and mass m. Okay, length L, G, and m. But it's not necessary that it's all directly proportional. I hope you remember something called directly proportional is like this. Okay, right? So it's not necessary that it is directly proportional. That is, it could be y depends on x square, it could be y depends on x cube, it could be y depends on x raised to 4 or anything like that. So, like that, suppose time period depends on a power, a is unknown. That's what we don't know. If we would knew it, we would not do anything. Suppose L raised to a, that is time period depends on L raised to a, some power of L which we don't know. I repeat, time period depends on some power of L, but we don't know what's this, right? This is unknown. Similarly, it depends on some power of G, that is B, and we also don't know B, that is how much power is that. And similarly, some power of M, that is C, and we don't know that also. So basically, there are three unknowns in this whole thing. Did you understand how many unknowns are there? 3. A, B, C. Alright, so we don't know. What I am explaining here is we don't know whether it's like this, or it's like this, or it's like this. Right? Similarly, we don't know about G as well. So what pattern is there, we don't know. So that's what we will find out by making equations. Let's start. First of all, length. we'll put both sides in dimensions. Okay, we'll put both sides in dimensions. So dimensions of time period are time, same as time. Clear, t raised to 1 or just t. On the right side, what do we have? Length, dimensions of length, that is L raised to a. Clear so far? We are just comparing the dimensions on the left side with the right side. Okay, we are just comparing dimensions on the left side with the right side. G is actually acceleration. I repeat, G is acceleration. What are dimensions of acceleration? Do you remember? Everyone, I asked you to remember those 10. What are dimensions of acceleration? So we can put it here. Can you tell me, everybody, dimensions of acceleration? Everyone. L raised to 1, t raised to minus 2. Okay? Many of you gave the right answer. Very good. Raised to b. Last one, mass. M. Easy. Okay, so what have we done? We have compared powers. You can write comparing powers if you are writing the sentences in between, right? So we have compared the powers. So now, okay, so what do we get here when we compare the powers? Listen to this carefully. You can simplify this one step. This would become L raised to a, L raised to b, t raised to minus 2b, m raised to c. Is that fine? Is that fine or not? Is that fine or not? Now let's compare. So we are going to compare the powers like I said. Okay, we are going to compare the powers. Okay, left side. Do you see m? No, that means it is m raised to 0. Left side, we don't see m because it is m raised to 0. Is that clear? Similarly, we don't see L also. We don't see L also because L is also raised to 0. Clear? Okay. So now we are in a good position to get equation. This side power 0 for m. We are comparing m. This side power c. Did you understand? Raise your hand if you understood this line. We compared powers on both sides. If you understood, raise your hand. Left side power for m 0. Right side power for m c. Got it? Yes or no? Okay, fine. Put your hands down, everybody. Put your hands down. Okay, let's go to next one. Now turn for L. Okay, left side power 0 is equal to right side power. On the right side, this is L raised to a, L raised to b. So when you multiply them, it becomes a plus b. Clear? A plus b is clear? A plus b. So 0 is equal to a plus b. Hetrachi, did you solve the first assignment given by school? Saleha, did you solve the first assignment given by school about powers? The first assignment that I gave you was about powers. Yes or no? I hope you have it with you. એની અંદર આવા જ ક્વેશ્ચન્સ છે બરાબર એટલે જ આપ્યું હતું એક વસ્તુ કામની જ આપી છે હમણાં લિનિયર ઇક્વેશન આવે છે ઓકે સો 0 is equal to a plus b because these two are multiplied. Okay, next for third one t left side 1 is equal to right side. What do we have on right side? Minus 2b. Understood? This is for t. This is for t. All right. Okay, now what next? Can we solve these? Yes. C is 0, done. B, can you find B from here and then find A? Hurry up. Come on, everybody. Can you find B first and then find A? Hurry up, everyone. Solve it. હવે મેથ્સ નો વારો આવ્યો, ફિઝિક્સ પૂરું. Solve it. Come on. Find B, find A. Find B and find A. Find B and find A. Right. Good job. Come on, do it properly. I will tell you correct or not correct later, everyone. I cannot answer to each one individually. Okay? Find A, find B. No, not right. Some of you are making mistakes. The 3 ક્યાંથી આવે તમારા લોકોને? હે 3 ક્યાંથી આવે? આમાં ક્યાંય 3 છે જ નહીં. યાર મેથ્સ હરખું કરો. આવું નહીં ચાલે. Okay. So from this last equation we get b is equal to minus 1 by 2. Okay? From the last equation we have b is equal to minus 1 by 2. Clear? Then we put it in this equation. In the second one. This is number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay, so when we put that value in second one, we get 0 is equal to a plus minus 1 by 2. Okay? Alright, so therefore 0 equal to a minus 1 by 2, therefore a is equal to 1 by 2. So that's the final value. Right? C is 0, a is 1 by 2, b is minus 1 by 2. Do not make silly mistakes in calculation. So finally, what we have written earlier, we are going to use that. T proportional to L raised to A. Clear? T proportional to L raised to A. Clear or not clear? T proportional to L raised to A. Clear or not clear? Now, next G raised to B. There was G raised to B. Isn't it? What's B? Minus 1 by 2. Okay, G raised to minus 1 by 2. And M, mass, raised to C. But C is 0. So, anything raised to 0 means just 1. It's okay if you don't write it. Clear or not clear? Clear or not clear? There's no need to write mass over there. There is no need to write mass over there because anything raised to 0 is 1. So mass raised to 0 becomes 1. What this means is, listen to this carefully. Listen to this very carefully. Do you know that x raised to half is root x? Do you know this or not? Do you know that x raised to half is root x? Okay. Similarly, x raised to minus 1 by 2 is 1 upon x raised to 1 by 2 or 1 upon root x. Clear or not clear? Those who are finding it difficult, my recommendation is you solve the first assignment again. If you have not understood this, I suggest that you solve the first assignment. It was about powers and all this. Okay, that will help you get it clear. Now, so if you use it here, this means as follows. Understood? This means as follows, that time period depends on root of length and time period depends on root of g, inversely dependent. Okay, inversely, that is in the denominator here. So t is proportional to root of L divided by root of g, but does not depend on mass. See, interesting observation. Interesting observation. We thought that if the bob is heavy, it will take more time, but that's not true, right? Nature has fooled us. I repeat, this does not depend on mass. What that means is, even if the bob is heavy or light, it doesn't matter. Time period will still be same. Time period only depends on length and on g, not on mass. Did you get it? Yes, Ravi, you can say that. Okay, so like this, read the title. What was the title? Without doing experiment, we found out that the time period of the pendulum will not depend on mass. Did you understand? And will depend on length and on g. Clear? So that's the use of this method. Alright, that's the use of this method. Okay? Well then. Now I'll just give you one more question like this to practice on your own. Yes, at different places g's value is different. I hope you know that case, right? We have studied it in 9th. So that's why pendulum time period at different places can be different. Okay. Let's solve, or let's give you one more question like this for homework. Okay. Alright. It is as follows. Force acting on a small sphere in a liquid depends on radius of sphere, that is r, okay, speed of sphere, that is v, speed v, and then there's something called coefficient of viscosity. Again, you don't need to worry about what this means. Okay, we will study this in chapter 10 of 11th standard. What is meaning of coefficient of viscosity? It's called eta. Okay, this is how you write it. Okay, it's like n but with a tail. Do you understand? It's like n with a tail. Got it? Okay. Right? So now you have to find the relation between force and radius and speed and coefficient of viscosity. I repeat, you have to find a relation between radius of sphere, speed of sphere, coefficient of viscosity and force. Okay, now these two you can easily find dimensions, radius and speed, but you might have trouble with it. So let me help you by giving you a little hint. It is that dimensions for coefficient of viscosity. Okay, dimensions for coefficient of viscosity. They are m raised to 1, L raised to -1 and T raised to -1. Okay, dimensional formula for coefficient of viscosity are m raised to 1, L raised to -1 and T raised to -1. Okay, use this information here and solve it just like we did the previous question. Okay, is this clear? Find A, B and C and then you'll get the answer. Find A, B and C. Question clear? You have to get a relation between force, radius, speed and coefficient of viscosity, which is eta. Symbol is eta. Okay? Right? So this is your homework question. Same method as this. Okay, exactly what we did. You just have to compare the powers. Don't forget. Once you write the dimensional formula everywhere, then you compare the powers like we did. Okay? First of m, then of L, then of T. Right? Once you compare the powers, you will get equations. Like here we got three equations. Do you remember? First one was c equal to 0. Second one was 0 equal to a plus b. And third one was minus 1 equal to 2b or something. Right? So like that you get equations, you solve them and you find the values of a, b and c. Okay? So that's your homework. Goodbye everybody.